the opportunity to put your hands together. Let's thank God for that opportunity. This is the season of Thanksgiving, y'all. Come on, let's bless the Lord, all our soul and all that's within us. Bless the Lord's holy name. God, we thank you. God, we love you. Thank you for one more chance. Thank you for one more day. Thank you for angels over right over now. God, I love you. Hallelujah. We thank you, God. We bless you, Lord. We give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. Go to 3 people and tell 3 people in this service, it's a good thing to be in the house of the Lord. 3 people, it's a good thing to see your smiling face here in the house of the Lord. It's a season of Thanksgiving. We gotta thank God for all that God has given us. Sometimes it gets tough, sometimes it gets hard. But it's important to thank the Lord in all of what we got going on. Bishop Yvette Flutter put it this way. She said, tragedies are commonplace. All types of diseases. People are slipping away. Economy's down. Folk can't get enough pay. But as for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. The streets and the courthouse and the sunset, they just muggers and robbers, no place thank you. To give honor where honor is due. And God has been really good to all of us up in here. Even though things may not look like how you want it, it may not be where you want it, God's grace, those two twins, God's grace and God's mercy has helped us. God has made ways when you didn't know how they would be made. God picked you up off of beds of depression when you thought it was your last moment. God's grace has been sufficient. God's healing hand has been sufficient. God, bless your name, oh God. We thank you for your presence being in this place. We thank you, Lord, for healing in this room. We thank you, Lord, for the miraculous that's in this room. We thank you, Lord, for you restoring relationships in this room. We thank you, Lord, for the financial miracles you performing in this room. Thank you, Lord, for all that you're doing for the people who stand and keep awaiting you, oh God. We bless you right now, Lord Jesus. We thank you, God, for your goodness, for your grace and your mercy. You've been good, and we couldn't help but to tell you thank you, God. You've been kind, and we couldn't help but to tell you thank you, God. You've been great, and we couldn't help but to tell you thank you, God. So have thy own way. We bless you, Lord. Thank you for my neighbor on the right, God. Thank you for their life being a living testimony, oh God, that you're able to do anything but fail. Thank you for my neighbor on the left, oh God, who bears witness that you are God, because they've been through danger, seen and unseen, and you kept them, God. So we say thank you, Lord. Oh, we bless you, Lord. We give you the glory, the honor, and the praise, God. Oh, we thank you, Lord. Oh, we bless your name, God. We thank you, Lord. Those who can, I'm asking if you would turn with me to Matthew, the 9th chapter. Give thanks unto the Lord, for he is worthy to be praised. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is worthy to be praised. Give thanks unto the Lord, for she is worthy to be praised. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is worthy to be praised. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for she is worthy to be praised. Ninth chapter, 30th verse 4. Matthew, the 9th chapter. Matthew, the 9th chapter, the 35th verse, and it says, Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless. They were like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Why don't you pray with me as we wrestle with the title for a brief moment on this Harvest Sunday, The Works of the Harvest. The work of the harvest. God, we thank you for how you're sitting in this place. Thank you for your spirit moving from heart to heart and breast to breast. God, even those of us who are sitting next to folk we don't even know, we feel your anointing oozing off them down our road. We feel you moving and healing their body even right now, God. We feel you calming the storm in their life with a simple word of peace, be still. We thank you, Lord, for how you are the doctor in this room on today, oh God. We thank you, Lord, for how you're providing counsel to somebody even right now for their situation, oh God. We thank you for how you are a mind regulator right now in this room. Oh God, we thank you for just being the sweet rose of Sharon. Thank you, God, for sitting with, being with us. I ask, Lord, that you would hide me now behind your presence and speak a word through me so that your people will have restoration, revitalization for this week. God, we thank you for your spirit sitting with us and being with us, your people. We thank you, God, and we give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Turn to your neighbor and say, the work of the harvest. Turn to another neighbor and say, the work of the harvest. Somebody shout up here to me, Pastor, move on. Amount of time. We got a lot of stuff still to do in this service and in the congregational meeting afterwards. So we bless God for divine visitation, and for how God has moved in this place. We thank God. This is the Sunday that we call Harvest Sunday for our church. The Sunday where we recognize, where we think about, where we remember God's goodness, God's bounty, the abundance that God has given to all of us. See, God has given us a lot. Careful, Pastor AJ. God has given us a lot. And so often, we don't take a moment to realize what God has done or what God is doing in our life. So often, we don't take a moment to recognize. We don't stop and just say, wait, I know I got to do this tomorrow. I got this on the plate or this on the agenda. But the old folks used to put it this way. You need to sometimes stop and count your blessings. Name them one by one. Think about how God has been good to you and how God has given you even when we didn't deserve. In this passage, we find Jesus doing what Jesus do best. Jesus is doing ministry. Jesus is serving. Jesus is going forth and doing great works. He starts off in this full passage where he was ministering in his hometown, Galilee. And in Galilee, he was trying to do work, but the people back home didn't receive him. So it limited what he can do. Somebody said, how can you be Jesus, the Son of God, the physical manifestation of God incarnate? How could that be the case and you are limited? Don't you know sometimes when people know you for who you are, know your stuff, know your bumps, know the mistakes that you make. Sometimes they find it hard to be able to receive what God has for you. Don't you know sometimes, my mama told me this story. We had an auntie who had got a little happy during the holiday season with libation. And the Lord moved on my auntie to tell my mama something. But my mom couldn't see it or hear it because she was looking at the outer of what my auntie was experiencing in that moment. But don't you know God can use anything at any time? Don't you know that God can move however God chooses to move, puts his hand on whoever God chooses to put God's hand? Even when we as a people say that they're not worthy, even when people counted you out and God said, no, I've called you for such a time as this to do this work. God can use who God wants. Jesus went to Galilee trying to do the work, but he had to go. He had to leave his hometown because folk, they blocked him from being able to do it. They couldn't receive it because they knew him. He starts off his ministry. He then leaves and he goes and he restores a young lady back to life, drop dead. He left his city. The next first miracle he does is able to bring somebody back to life. Immediately after that, he heals 2 blind men, according to Matthew. And then after that, he even takes a person who could not speak and he put voice back in their body. Anybody ever experienced when you were voiceless and God gave you words to utter? When you had no more words to say, the only thing you could say is I, and it was a groan, that's all. And God had to give you the voice to be able to articulate what you needed. God gave a person the voice through Jesus Christ. Then the text tells us that Jesus stopped in the middle of doing this. He took a moment and spoke to his disciples and said, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Where did that come from? That just seems random. You doing all this great work, Jesus. You healing folk and you making ways for folk. What do you mean? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Jesus, you're doing it. You showing the people how to do. You moving the mountains. You your energy, your time, and you're making it happen. What do you mean? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You're doing the job, Jesus. Somebody may not have got it yet. That's what we do so often. We look and say, leaders, you got it. You're supposed to make sure you call somebody. Don't you know you got it? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. But don't you know that every time we point a finger at someone else telling them that you got it, God is saying, but you too need to get and put your hand to the plow and do the work so that the body of Christ, the love of God, can be experienced. Yeah. Turn to your neighbor and say, God is calling you to the field to do great work. But before Jesus made this statement, the text says, then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Some scholars say that verse 36 should be translated more like this. Jesus had compassion on the people that he saw and came in contact with because they were folk who were laid around helplessly as if they had been picked and shredded by wild beasts because their shepherds were not in attendance. I'm going somewhere. It appears that during this revival, this renaissance that Jesus was doing and bringing about life, he came in contact with many folk who were broken, busted, and disgusted. These folks were deplorable mentally. They were struggling emotionally. They were struggling with spiritual conditions. And this forced me to ask the question of this text: how did the sheep get like this? Who should have been tending to the sheep in this passage? The sheep should have been taken care of by those who Jesus called shepherds, the leaders of this time. Maybe it was the religious leaders who should have been taking care of the sheep. It appears that instead of taking care of the sheep, instead of doing this, they were busy doing their religious clerical duties. They weren't taking care of the sheep. They were busy more focused on the things of the church rather than the people of the church. They were more focused on the institution rather than the community. It looks as if those who were charged with the task of helping folks to get unshapen and to go out and to do the work, they were not doing what they needed to do. Instead of feeding the sheep good solid theology, they fed the sheep good old get quick rich schemes, quick get rich quick doctrine, telling them that the only thing you got to do is name it and claim it. The only thing you got to do is point and say it, instead of telling them the work that goes into your mouth professions. Yes, the Bible tells us that power of life and death lies in our tongue. We can call things out and say it, but I want you to know that even as you call and claim and name and all that other stuff, you better be ready to put in the work to make it happen. So often we expect things to manifest for us just by simply saying that it falls out of the sky. Well, I want you to know that prayer without works is dead. I want you to know that your work has to line up with the prayer that you're praying. No need to say, Lord, I need you to do it, and you don't get off your foot and do your part in making it happen. Lord, I need you to touch sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so, but you don't get off the prayer knee and then get up and pick up a call to make sure that they're okay. You got to do the work. Lord, I need you to help me with this waistline that I'm getting, but you pick up this holiday season. You're picking up every turkey and everything instead of doing your part and making sure the work. That don't need to pray over the food. Asking God to remove the calories if you're going to keep putting it up to your lips. Somebody. You got to do your work. Pick healthier choices. Make more conscious decisions so that you can make the prayer that you're praying manifest in the season. Sometimes they do the work. It appears maybe it was the political leaders that were supposed to take care of these sheep that Jesus saw scattered around. But instead of the political leaders and government caring for the sheep under their watch, They must have been more focused on pleasing the big pocket wolves and fueling their campaign, making campaign promises rather than true delivery of work. Maybe, just maybe, they were trying to secure their seats in the Senate. Maybe they were trying to secure their seats instead of looking at the healthcare needs of the people, instead of helping the people to be able to move from their place of poverty. Maybe they were just constantly focused on ensuring that the 1% had majority of the wealth and held down things and just didn't care anymore about the sheep. Jesus said, he felt compassion and said, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. I want you to know, y'all, in today's time, even today, God's sheep are scattered, hurt, and abused. In many cases, it's due to the leaders not being on their job. Who, Pastor, are you calling leaders? Am I calling Pastor AJ the leader? Yes, I'm talking to Pastor AJ as a leader. Are you talking to the deacons as leaders? Yes, I'm talking to the deacons as leaders. Are you talking to the ministers as leaders? Yes, I'm talking to the ministers as leaders. But I'm also talking to you, the priesthood of all believers. We all are called to the corporate table. There's one body, no bigger eye than me. We all sit at the table, and God has called us all to take care of the things and the people that God loves. And guess what? That's everybody. Somebody say everybody. For our visitors, that's our dialect here. That's our communication that says we mean everybody. But everybody. Somebody say everybody. There's work to be done. And God is holding us accountable to seeing that this work gets done. Harvest time is an exciting time, but at the same time, it's problematic for so many of us. The harvest time is a time of bounty, the yielding of fruit, and high expectations about what we'll have in store for where we're going. See, but when most of us think of the harvest, we think of the time where it's just about the plenty and the bounty. We think of times where everything is luscious and the grass is always green for the picking and choosing. But what if harvest offered us a different picture? See, so often we don't realize that the harvest time is the time that requires the most work out of all the seasons. I know you just went through your springtime and you hurt your back spreading the seeds, but there's something different about harvest time. See, harvest time, every seed that you planted, it yields multiple fruit. See, most seeds don't just yield one crop, one fruit. It yields a whole bunch of fruit. You put in one apple seed, you get an apple tree with several different apples. You put in one orange seed and it comes up with a tree with multiple oranges. And so just you put in a lot of work during springtime, but I come to tell you that the harvest season requires even more work for you to do. I know we love singing the songs of Zion that says God is about to bless us right now. It's harvest time and it's our time, it's our season. But I come to tell you that that time involves you doing work. And if I'm honest and responsible as a pastor, your harvest time and the work that you put in to harvest is going to be key for your success and survival in your next season. What are you trying to say, Pastor? In other words, harvest is one of the most difficult seasons because you have to collect everything that was placed out there, everything that the ground yielded up in order to enjoy the season of winter. If you don't do your work in this harvest season, your winter season is going to be dry. You're going to be struggling trying to make it. What are you saying, Pastor? I'm telling you that your relationship, if you don't do the work in this harvest season of having the difficult conversations, facing the situations head on instead of running high and covering it up, guess what? Your winter season may lead to I'm talking to single folks. If you don't do your work at appreciating who you are right here, right now, before you're trying to find someone else to define you, to love you, you better learn how to love yourself in this season so that you can experience love from others. What am I talking about? I'm telling you, if you don't deal with the issues right now, if you don't help and till the ground for the harvest, pull the fruit during the harvest season, it will spoil, and you will see and experience the fruit being spoiled in your life. Many of us want the benefits of the harvest, but we don't want to prepare to put in the work to get it. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborer is few. The laborers are few. Many of us are walking around with a lot of spoiled fruit. in our lives because we didn't take the time to properly harvest, to reap the fruit. Yes, why? I'm praying, Lord, and I don't feel that. Did you take some time to do some relationship building with the Lord? Did you take some time getting to know the Lord by name in quiet time and Bible study and get to know God for yourself? When times get hard, your winter season, guess what? You're going to have to pull from the reserves of your harvest season. We walk around with spoiled fruit. We wonder why. Why, Lord? I've been here for a long time. I've been going through the same cycles and patterns. I'm seeing it. I'm with one person, and then next thing you know, we ended, and I'm with another person. It's the same person with a different face. Maybe, just maybe, we're not doing our work during the harvest season so that our winter, our spring, and our summers can be fruitful and prosperous. Don't you know squirrels, during the harvest season, they gather nuts and they bury them? Why do they do that? Because they want to survive during the winter season. Don't you know that in the animal's nature, bears, they even go hunt and prepare in the harvest season so that in winter time they can hibernate and be survive during the winter season. People, we got to understand that God's not calling us to sit on our loins, to sit and think that we're blessed and highly favored, and it don't mean work on your part. God is saying that I have a great work in the world. I have people who are hurt, people who are in need, and I placed the word in your belly. I placed compassion in your heart. I gave you the promotion so that you can help to meet the needs that exist, but instead you think it's all about you. God is saying, I'm calling you higher to be a people of God instead of selfish people. This is harvest season, and there's work to be done, and God has entrusted you with the ability. He gave you the ability to put your confidence in your hand and motion in your feet so that you can do the work to bring about the love of God in our world. Lord, why is so much going on? But when election time happened, what happened? Not a lot of folk went to vote. You want to talk about what's happening, but you got to put the work in to back it up. Lord, why is my neighborhood having so many violent activity? Why is it happening? Look, have you attended any town hall meetings lately to say this is what I want to do? Why is gentrification running rapid in my community and black folks are being pushed out? Poor folks are being pushed out. Have you stepped up and talked to your council person and said this is what I need to happen on the agenda at the next council meeting? There's work to be done. There's power in your voice, and if you don't open up your mouth, that's called work. Things won't happen. If you don't present your body as a living sacrifice, and things won't happen. What will you do? The harvest is plentiful, but the laborer. See, over the last 9 months, our nation has been in a time of tension and hopelessness. Could this be the harvest that this passage is talking about in this season in our nation? Folk are thirsty to organize. Folk are thirsty to come together regardless of differences. We don't care if you're gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, anything else in the LGBTQ line. Just come on, we need your bodies, we need your voice. Could this be the harvest time that folks are looking for a savior to come from somewhere, a power to change and shift the environment? Could this be the harvest? And maybe, just maybe, God is calling you to be the laborer. Right here in this church, we have faced serious issues, financial challenges. Could this be the harvest time that the text promises us, where we go beyond our routine day-to-day, coming in on Sunday, hiding behind our stained glass covered windows, and move into serving the world that God loves, beyond what we think we see and beyond what we feel in this moment, until God moves it and allows this place to explode so that the people can't even be contained in here? Could this be the harvest time in our homes? Some folks are facing challenges in their relationships with their kids and their finances. Could this be the harvest, where you in your relationship need to deal with the stuff, where you with the debt need to consider how much you're spending, where you're spending, and maybe putting something in saving? Could this be the harvest time that comes to teach us how to live and be blessed in season and out of season, rather than always asking God to perform a miracle because of our ill-reproved behavior? Could this be the harvest time? Ask your neighbor, could this be the harvest time? Just because it seems like things are not going the way you want it to go. It feels more like a crisis than a harvest time. I want you to know, Dr. Ron Hobson told me this when I was going through a storm in my life. Crisis offers you new opportunities and possibilities. Hard work is a part of harvest time, and it's the best time to prepare for good times. Good times don't fall out of the sky. It's work that you put in to experience good times. Harvest is a season of opportunity. Gyron, we're about to close. It may not look how you want it. It may not feel how you want it. It may not even taste like you want it. But I want you to know that it's filled with the possibility of opportunity if you take full advantage of the crisis that you're experiencing. If you take full advantage of what you think you see in front of you, and instead of looking at it as only being lemons, say, lemons also have purpose. I can take that lemon, I can place in some water, I can add a little bit of sugar, and I can make some lemonade. See, harvest time is opportunity time, it's possibility time. It causes you to open up your mind and think bigger than where you've been. It causes you to open up your mind and see further. That's when inventions happen, when you go through hard time and break on every angle. That's when you say, the God that's in me said, greater is he that's in me than anything in this world. I can figure out how to get out of this because I can tap into the power that lives on the inside. That's when you press on every side, you say, the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. There are resources on my left and resources on my right. Not the ones that I thought I needed, but God will show me how to use it for his glory and her honor. Don't you know this time is a time of opportunity and possibility if you would receive it as a harvest time? The problem is, we think harvests are laid down last time and we just want it to fall. But I promise you in this season, winter is a-coming. There's a storm out on the ocean and it's moving this away. And if your soul is not anchored in the Lord, if your soul is not anchored in the infinite possibilities of God, if your soul is not anchored in the creative energy of God, if your soul is not anchored in Sophia, the wisdom of God, you'll miss out on what the Lord is trying to do. I'm telling you, it's time to get ready. The harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. Will you join in? Will you put your hands to the plow and say, Lord, here I am. Use me as I am. Thank you for not requiring that I come in perfect. Thank you for not requiring that I come in clean. But take my mind, take my brokenness, take my experience, and use me however you will for your glory and for your honor. Is there anybody in here say yeah? Say, Lord, have your way, yeah. Lord, call me higher, yeah. Lord, use my hands, yeah. Lord, use my heart, yeah. Lord, use my feet, yeah. It's harvest time. It's harvest time. Go to 3 people and say, it's harvest time, and it's your time. It's harvest time, and it's your time. It's your time to get on the bus. It's your time to get in line. It's your time to move with what God is doing. It's your time to be empowered by God. To be equipped by God. It's your time to let go of limited thinking. It's your time to let go of the limitations of what folk called you, what folk told you. Let it go and see how God will use you to do great things that will blow your mind. I know your family lineage say all that, but guess what? God called you to come up and change the history. I know that there are many things that you faced and dealt with, but God is calling you higher in this season. I know you got folk that's been before you, brothers that's older than you, but I said I want you, David, to come and you will be the one that I'm calling in this season. God is calling you as a laborer. The work of the harvest. The work of the harvest. Go to 3 people I know y'all get tired of that, but this is, some people don't receive any touches all week long. And this is part of being a laborer in the harvest. You're helping to plant a seed, letting somebody know we need touch to feel affirmed and to know that God is able. Those are 3 people that say, guess what? This is your time and it's harvest time. Those are 3 people in the back. You already touched the folk you know. You already touched the folk in front. Go and prophesy to the people in the back and say, it's your time. Stop crying. Wipe your eyes. It's your time. Come on, get up from your low place. It's your time. Come on, God has called you. I know you've been to hell and high water, but it was for such a time as this. Come on, come on, come on. I know you endured a lot of pain and hurt. I know they cost you hard and get paid. But that's what God is using that even. Come on. Come on. He's using you. He's using you. Called you by name. Before you were formed in your mother's belly, guess what? He said, I knew you by name and I called you for such a time as this. They said you wouldn't make it. They said you wouldn't be here today. They said you wouldn't mount to anything. Well, I'm glad to say that you're on your way and you're growing more and more and more each day. I'm still holding on. There's somebody's testimony in here. They say, I'm still holding on to his hand. Let us stand all over this place. And we're what we call traditionally in our church, opening the doors of the church. What does that mean? It's just a churchy way of saying that we want to offer you, we want to invite you to make some decisions in this worship experience. It's just a churchy way of saying, come on home. Jesus Christ is offering you the opportunity to be in relationship with God through him. And he said, come on, all you who labor, and I will give you peace and I will give you rest. It's just a churchy way of us saying, if you need a church home, come on, the doors are open. They're wide open for you. God's house is open and we want you to be a part of this branch design. I would love to be your pastor and the members here would love to be your family.